Prabhupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtothar Sata Sri Srimad Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Samsthapakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtothar Sata Sri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaja Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridasa Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinatha Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Vrindavan Mathura Dhama Ki Jai Mayapur Navadvip Dhama Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dhama Ki Jai Dwaraka Dhama Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pucharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5, Text 51. Chakshuru Nilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Atapadakamalam Shri Gurunna Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiva Shakham Vitangscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Mancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. By studying Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of devotees, under the direction of devotees, we come to understand Krishna. Understanding Krishna means understanding everything about Krishna. Krishna is complete with his energies, expansions, devotees. All this is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's not possible to understand Krishna fully, because even Krishna himself doesn't understand himself fully. But the science of God, this is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavat Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate. By understanding the science of God, by getting the understanding of how Krishna is great, how he interacts with all other living entities and all his different energies, one can come to know something of the greatness of God. By understanding this science, one becomes liberated from material energy. This science of God is divided in 3 categories. Sambandha, Avideya, Prayoja. Sambandha means understanding our relationship with God. Avideya means acting in that relationship, and Prayoja means entering into that relationship. So all these subjects are discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam. In the 2nd canto and the 3rd canto is discussed in detail the process of creation. It's discussed in some detail here how Lord Brahma received his energy for creating this material world. So that is discussed in detail. We know it's an important subject. Narad Muni, we also find in the 2nd canto of Bhagavatam, is described how he had a mistake. He thought that Brahma was the ultimate deity. He was the creator of he's the creator of the material world. He's the big man around here. So he must be the supreme. Narad was thinking, but then he thought, well, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. So Brahma enlightened him that actually I'm just a servant. So all this is very important. There are so many different important points of knowledge. Actually, Krishna conscious knowledge, we can summarize what is the essence in a few sentences. That we are not this body is the first thing. We are not this body. We are eternal spirit soul. We are the eternal servants of Krishna, who is the supreme soul. Therefore, for our benefit, we should simply serve Krishna by chanting the Maha Mantra. This is the most important process in this age. So in a few lines, we can sum it up. Prabhupada, one time he said, he was giving the definition, what is an advanced devotee? Sometimes we think an advanced devotee is someone who, we may have so many ideas, there are so many funny ideas floating around, but Prabhupada was saying that advanced devotee means one who understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So to understand this, actually it's not so easy. That Krishna says in Gita, Bahunam janmanamante jnanavang mang prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sadurlabha. After many births, one may come to this understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all in all. One who is in knowledge, he understands this. Such a person, such a great soul is very rare. So how to understand Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead? That requires some knowledge. What does it mean that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? That is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. How all the different energies emanate from him, rest in him, rest in him during the creation, he sustains them, and again they enter into him. All living entities are dependent upon him. How great is God? That is described. This description here, describing how Brahma, he can't do anything. Even though he's so powerful, he's so great, but he can't do anything without the blessing of Krishna. He was sitting on his lotus. He was born on the lotus, but he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what his duty was. He didn't know anything, what he was doing there. And eventually, after performing tapasya, austerities in devotional service, he was favored with the darshan of Lord Krishna, who then explained everything to him what he should do. So there are so many lessons Prabhupada gives. Here what we might call quite a long purport. It's 1.5 pages. But actually, of course, any verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, you can discuss all your life. There's no limit to understanding. Just like we see here, it's discussed how we shall engage in Krishna's service. And any question like this can be the subject of great philosophical inquiry. We see even whole books are written about this. Jiva Goswami has written in great detail so many books. Sanatana Goswami, Brihad Bhagavatamrita. What is the meaning of devotional service? What is the definition of devotional service? What is devotional service? Does devotional service mean simply you pick up a brush and go like this and try and get it over with as quickly as possible? That may be called devotional service. There are different levels, just like Prabhupada. Prabhupada also, Lord Chaitanya also, he said, who is a Vaishnava? Vaishnava is someone who chants the name of Krishna once. So that's devotional service. To chant the name of Krishna once, that is devotional service. To create the whole cosmic manifestation under the direction of Krishna, as Brahma did, that is devotional service. Then in other places we see that it's written that a Vaishnava has all God qualities, and different definitions are given. What is a devotee? One who chants Hare Krishna even once is a devotee, but then who is really a devotee means who has no other desire but to serve Krishna. So that is being pushed at in every line, in every word of Prabhupada's books. That's why these books, they're not just like some scholarly books. Scholars also appreciate, but it's not just some translation. That's why Prabhupada, he was saying for the rest of the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada translated up to 10th canto, chapter 13 of Bhagavatam. But for the rest, he was saying, who can translate? It's not simply a scholarly matter. You have to get the inspiration from Krishna. You have to be pure. Pure also means you have to be surrendered to Krishna. Then Krishna will bless you to do it. It's not simply an academic activity. Prabhupada was saying also, once the devotees were asking him, he said, no, I have to choose every word very carefully, because this is realized knowledge for the next 10,000 years. So it's not just an academic method. Some scholars, they also translate books, or they read Srimad Bhagavatam, but they can't understand Srimad Bhagavatam simply by the scholarly method. Those who are surrendered to Krishna, they can translate, they can write, they can understand by reading. Otherwise someone may read Srimad Bhagavatam, but if their purpose is simply to make some scholarly study, then they'll be just like the person licking the outside of the bottle of honey. Inside the bottle of honey, such nice honey. But outside, if you lick, you'll get no flavor, just the cold glass feeling. So that we see some scholar, he read Prabhupada's books, and what was his conclusion? Well, it was quite good, but he didn't know how to translate it properly. He translated the words all wrong. I think his translation of the word Leela, for instance, is wrong, and he gave his reasons. And it was published. The book is here, you can buy it here. This scholar is giving his reasons why Prabhupada's books are no good, and there's no refutation of it. You can buy it right here. So this is another example of how people are not reading Srimad Bhagavatam, because if they read Prabhupada's books, then how can you tolerate it? How can you tolerate such things? How can you write in your book such nasty things and let it all go? No refutation. Just simply Prabhupada's books are no good, the scholar has written, and our so-called devotee is writing in his book, and he agrees, yes. Then he goes on to the next question. So therefore Prabhupada has given these books in which he is giving Krishna. He's not simply giving some so-called scholarship. Even the Bhagavatam is not even meant for so-called mundane scholars. This Bhagavatam is meant for understanding Krishna, and every line of Prabhupada's books, it's like in music. You'll see here the percussion is going on underneath. If you listen carefully, you can hear it. So in every line of Prabhupada's books is pushing, you're not this body, you're eternal spirit soul, you're the servant of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Surrender to Him. Every line, every word, Prabhupada is pushing at this point. Whatever point he may be discussing, here he is discussing how Lord Brahma is praying to Krishna for the ability to serve Him. So Prabhupada is not simply translating in some scholarly way, but he's pushing us also to pick up the mood of Lord Brahma, how we can serve Him. At the same time, in the purport, he is showing what is the position of Lord Brahma. He is a servant of Lord Krishna. Therefore, we should understand that even if Lord Brahma is a servant of Krishna, then we are also the servant of Krishna. Then we should surrender to Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme. So all these points again and again and again, Prabhupada is pushing this. Practically, unless you are a demon, if we read Prabhupada, unless you are a confirmed, hardcore demon, that you won't surrender to Krishna under any circumstances, if we read these books, then the attitude of devotion will sprout up within your heart. That is mentioned in the Bhagavatam itself. What is that verse? Krishna Vaishyamananam Yasyam Vaishyamananam Krishna Paramapurushe Bhaktir Udpadyata Pungsa Shokamoha Bhayavaha. Simply by reading this Srimad Bhagavatam, or the feeling for devotional service to Krishna, that will arise, extinguishing all lamentation, misery, illusion. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam as Prabhupada has presented it. Just like he's given Bhagavad Gita as it is. That is Bhagavad Gita. Because when Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, he wasn't just speaking some scholarly dissertation that we have half an hour now before the battle. Let's have a philosophical discussion. Okay, what do you think, Arjuna? All right. No, I've got a better idea. All right. All right, so write it down and then all the scholars can speculate on it for the next hundreds of years. No, there was a point. He spoke to him, why he spoke to him philosophy, just to put his brain in order, because he was out of order. He was thinking, I am this body, I'm not the eternal servant of Krishna. The goal of life is not to surrender to Krishna. The goal of life is to enjoy sense gratification. So Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, then he understood, I'm not this body, I'm the eternal servant of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I have to surrender to Him. So that is Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita means to understand Krishna as He is, to understand we as we are, and to surrender to Krishna. And the same theme is there in Srimad Bhagavatam. But so many people are taking Bhagavad Gita, and they'll get so many messages out of it. They'll imagine so many amazing messages, which has got nothing to do with Bhagavad Gita, and they'll read Bhagavad Gita all their lives, and they'll never come to the point of surrendering to Krishna, because they're deliberately avoiding Krishna. Therefore, Shastra has to be given through the line of devotees. And Prabhupada, of course we understand, that is predicted in Shastra also. He is the greatest devotee, and he's giving Krishna in these books. He's not just some idea, Prabhupada's idea, then someone else will come and think, well, I think your Guru Maharaj didn't translate this properly, I'll give a better idea. And if someone says that, then immediately reject, because we know that Prabhupada has given Krishna. Otherwise, what are we all doing here? Sometimes people come and say, oh, we have a better idea. Or, your Guru Maharaj, he didn't know how to teach. Then what are we doing here? If he didn't know how to teach, then how is it that we're all here chanting Hare Krishna? If he didn't give devotion to Krishna, then how is it that this whole Bhaktivedanta Mana International Society for Krishna Consciousness is going on? Because he gave and is giving in his books. Then Prabhupada was asked that what will happen to this movement when you die? Some rascal television reporter. Prabhupada said, I'll never die. I'll live forever in my books. You can take advantage. So that is always that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he also said, just before his departure from this world, that Bhaktivinoda Dhara Kakana Ruddha Hoibe Na, that this line of devotional service, that will never be stopped. That energy is there. That energy of Krishna consciousness is there. That Prabhupada has captured in these books. So carefully he has translated, giving all the ideas in detail. If you have any doubt, there are so many doubts. There are millions and millions of doubts. There's so many doubts. Whatever is said by Krishna, we immediately doubt, because we are in this diseased condition of life, in which we think, I am this body, I am the center of the universe, I am the controller. Krishna is not very significant. He may be a little bit significant, but not very significant. So we have so many doubts. When we hear Krishna lifted Govardhan hill for 7 days. We don't. How is it? How is he doing? We don't think he's God. He's already holding up the whole universe. What is it for him to hold one hill? Or we hear Krishna is dancing with the gopis and someone says, well, this is not very moral. And immediately we don't. And then we hear Lord Brahma has 4 heads. And there are other Lord Brahmas with tens of millions of heads. And we don't. Well, I never saw anyone with tens of millions of heads. I didn't see it, so I'm the greatest person in the universe and I never saw it, so it can't exist. This is our way of thinking. So these doubts, they have to be assuaged. Therefore, in Srila Prabhupada's books, all the points, point by point by point, why we should understand, how we can understand. How can we understand that there are Lord Brahmas with tens of millions of heads? Who would like to give an explanation? How can we accept? We never saw such a thing. Maybe some people saw taking some intoxication or something. Please. Yeah. He's Tribhuvanath. He's seen all over the Tribhuvan. So he may have seen. Brahma is relative to the size of this universe. Yeah, this universe is the smallest universe. This Brahma only has 4 heads. He can see everything nicely with 4 heads. But if you have a bigger universe, you need more heads to see everything. Prabhupada, of course, gave the example of Dr. Frog, the brilliant scholar, the greatest scholar in the history of frog society, who knew everything, the whole geography, history, biology, physics and chemistry of his 10-foot well. And he hadn't seen outside the well, so I haven't seen it, therefore no one else can see it. This was his philosophy. So the same thing, our big scientists, we haven't seen it, so therefore we can't accept that it exists. Why not? You haven't seen it, so what? Who are you? God has seen it. And he's giving this knowledge in Srimad Bhagavatam that it is there. So who are we to say? What do we know anyway? So this way, by hearing we can understand. Simply by accepting. Just yesterday someone was saying to me, well, how can we understand? In Navadvip Dham there is already Ayodhya Dham and the whole unit, because Ayodhya is so many miles away, how can it also be inside Navadvip? Actually, it's very easy to understand. You can't describe it by any laws. You can't get any physics book and explain how something is there and here also, because it's not within the laws of physics. That we see also Krishna, he expanded himself when he was in Dwaraka, walking in the street. He'd just be one. Then again, he'd go into his palaces. He'd expand himself into 16,108 forms. Then again, he'd come out into the public assembly, and again one form. So we can't explain that according to the laws of physics. But simply we have to understand that Krishna is not within the laws of physics. He makes the laws. He's above the laws. He does whatever he likes. That is the first thing. Swarat, he's independent. Independent doesn't mean that just like he's like some hippie or something, runs here and there and grows his hair long. But he can actually do whatever he likes. He's not, whatever he desires. Ichcha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, all the energies are under his control. He's not limited in any way. Therefore, he can do. For him, it's just a normal thing. He can do like that. 16,108 forms. He's already expanded into unlimited forms. Avatar hi asankhya. Or there are unlimited avatars, unlimited incarnations of God. So he can do. And if we simply accept, this is the beginning of understanding God. Jiva Goswami says that he has achintya shakti. The first point in understanding God is to accept that he has inconceivable potencies. If we can accept that, then we can begin to understand. And actually, it works like that. If you simply accept, yes, he can do, then you can understand. It's not a difficult thing to understand. Yes, of course he can. Of course God can expand. Otherwise, what is the meaning to him being God? If he can't do what he likes, then how can he be God? What kind of God is that? I believe in God, but what is that? Some so-called philosophers are saying that they see suffering in the world and they think that God's duty is to provide us sense gratification. That this world is supposed to be a place for us to enjoy. So they say, well, why is there suffering in the world if God is good? Therefore, either God is not all good, or he's not all-powerful, he can't stop our suffering. So that came in BTG some 15 years ago, this great Jewish rabbi called Hari Krishna. He said that actually God is all good, but he's not all-powerful. That's the Christian idea also. Satan is there. God is always fighting with Satan. It's like the CIA and the KGB or something. They're always trying to get one on top of the other. So it's not like that. Krishna is all-powerful. Nothing, there is not even a slight speck. Even all the Brahmas and all the universes put together, they're not even all their power put together with one slight, they can't even make one slight speck on Krishna's power. It's not, because all their power is coming from him. That Brahma he saw when he went to steal all the cowherd boys of Krishna. Then he saw, actually I don't have any, whatever power I've got, it's infinitesimal in comparison to Krishna's power. So these things, all the points are being described. They're here in this purport. You can read. We can get so many points of understanding from here. Why we are in this material world? Big question. Why we are here? Because we misused our independence. And even the demigods, they are great devotees, but they also have some material desires. Therefore, they are here in this material world, serving Krishna, but with some desire to lord it over. Therefore, we don't worship demigods. We worship Krishna. Sarvadhaman parityajya mamekam sharanam raja. Surrender to Krishna only. Krishna says in Gita. He doesn't say, if you like, surrender to me. He says directly, gives an order. That is his prerogative. He is God. Therefore he says, surrender to me only. And elsewhere in the Gita we find he already says that worship of demigods is foolishness. Why? Because whatever result you get from worshipping demigods, that is limited and temporary. Antavaktu phalang teshang tad bhavat yalpamedasam. So if you worship the same worship, if you see how people worship demigods, it's very similar to the worship of Krishna. They offer some lights and offer some flowers and offer some food. So it looks like the same as worship of Krishna. But it's not, because worship of demigods, that is for material benefit. And worship of Krishna, that is for ultimate benefit. Of course, some people may worship Krishna for material benefit also. But Krishna has his own way of removing the material desires of those who do that. So, therefore, Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja means surrender to Krishna only. These things are very clear, very, very, very straightforward. Unfortunately, we have a tendency as conditioned souls to try to change or interpret or twist things, just like Hinduism. What is Hinduism? Hinduism means, originally there was the Shastra, and there were rishis, and they taught the Shastra in different ways, according to their different points of view of sense gratification, and there were the pure acharyas who were teaching Krishna consciousness. There are different rishis who are teaching philosophy, Sankhya philosophy, Karma-mimamsa philosophy, which are not the actual Vedic message. So they're giving different schools of thought, and then later people added more and more and more and more speculations, until we have modern day Hinduism, where you can think whatever you like, and do whatever you like, and call yourself a Hindu. And that's considered, everything's okay, everything's wonderful, everything's good, but don't surrender to Krishna. Mamekam Sharanam Raja. That is not good. You see, Hindu, their children come to Krishna consciousness, and they start coming, oh, very good. That means he'll be good, moral, if he comes to the temple. They think that you should believe in God, that's good, then you'll become moral. But if they become more interested and they want to surrender to Krishna, no. Don't do that. You be a Hindu, that's all right. But surrender to Krishna, no. Don't do that. So Hinduism means there are so many funny ideas because people want to avoid Krishna. They have all this demigod worship, Sankhya philosophy, Karma-mimamsa, yoga, so many different ideas. Simply long-winded ideas how to avoid surrendering to Krishna. Originally the Shastra is there giving us Krishna, but people have taken out, misinterpreted for their own sense gratification. Any religion, you see, Christian religion, in the beginning it said that God gave man dominion over the animals, and they have interpreted that means we should eat them. Instead of looking after them, dominion over the animals means you should protect them, but they've interpreted, oh, God gave us put us in charge of the animals, let us eat them. Can you imagine someone gives their child for babysitting? And, well, where's the child? Well, I ate it. Because you put him in my charge, so I mean, I was hungry and you didn't leave me anything to eat, so I had it. Tasted quite good. It's good. It tastes nice. So that's their ultimate motive. It tastes nice, so eat it. If it tastes nice, eat it. So the same way in our Krishna conscious movement, we see so many ideas are coming: demigod worship, all different kinds of mayavad in the name of New Age understanding, and all wonderful ways to enhance your Krishna consciousness. All kind of wonderful things like hypnotism, and I don't even know them all. There's so many things. So many things are there. Sahajya. Now we'll instantly go. I've got so many anarthas, but now I'm going to understand about Radha Krishna Leela automatically, no qualification. But I'm fed up of watching TV, so I think I'll go straight up to Radha Krishna Leela. And all this chanting Hare Krishna 16 rounds and following principle, that's for neophyte devotees, but I'm the most advanced. So all these funny ideas are coming. Why are they coming? How can they come? Because people, obviously, they're not reading Prabhupada's books. Because if you read Prabhupada's books, it's very clearly, line after line after line, surrender to Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All the wrong ideas are kicked out. Dharma kaitava projita atra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. All the wrong ideas are kicked out in Srimad Bhagavatam. And all the right ideas are put in there. So if you read Prabhupada's books systematically, every day, read Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srimad Bhagavatam, systematically, don't just go to 10th canto, Gopi Gita, but read point by point, especially first canto and second canto. If we read again and again and again, that will keep us straight down the line, all nonsense kicked out. But Prabhupada, he didn't give us any nonsense. He gave only Krishna consciousness as it is, point by point, how we can understand. And if we read these books and engage in the actual process of Krishna consciousness, which is chanting Hare Krishna, taking prasadam, all these different points, very simple, straightforward, basic and clear, then we'll gradually make our advancement in Krishna consciousness. We can't do it by imagination, by some other new idea. I've got a new idea, a new process. What new process will you give? What new idea? And Prabhupada has given us everything as exactly in the line of the acharyas. There's no need to do it. Just stick straight to this path. If we deviate slightly this way or that way, we go off on a tangent. And tangent means it goes gradually further and further and further away. Therefore, this temple program is there, books are there, engagement in service is there. Just if we go on with this all our life, it's not that we have to do anything new. Already in class, we heard 10,000 times, we're not this body, therefore we should stop discussing it. No, if we stop discussing it, then within about 1 minute, we'll think, I am this body, because we're so attached to these bodies. Therefore we have to discuss every day, we're not this body, we're the eternal servant of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are not, even the demigods are not. Only Krishna is supreme. Therefore we should surrender to Krishna. All these points are being discussed throughout these Srimad Bhagavatam. All right, is there any question? Although we're not supposed to ask any questions. We're over time. Yeah. Yeah, I think God is this. You know, some guy's walking along smoking a cigarette. Well, in my opinion, as if God's under their opinion. Yeah, don't try to do a Shukadev Parikshit thing with them on the street. You know you're going to speak the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. Give them a book. Yeah, give them the book. Yeah, you don't have to preach the whole Pali. That's why I say you don't have to give them the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. You don't have to speak to them the whole thing on the street. Let Prabhupada do that. Give them the book. That will be the best preaching. Of course, if you become more expert, then you can also give some good philosophical ideas. But anyway, somehow or other the book should come out. Not that we're going to say, here's a book that will teach you how to enjoy illicit sex, intoxication, gambling and meat eating. Not like that.
I was listening to Srila Prabhupada also recently. He was discussing this point about the academic studying the scriptures. He said that they say, when Krishna says we should surrender to him, they say this is too much. This is too much. We can't possibly surrender this much. So what came to my mind was fear.
Right, yeah.
They're too frightened to surrender. There's a verse in the Ramayana, Prabhupada quotes it, so that verse is quite a profound statement.
Yeah, it's a very profound statement.
Connect those two together?
Yeah, Krishna in the form of Lord Ram says that if anyone once surrenders to me, then I accept him and I protect him. Now you're saying, Prabhupada is quoting that the scholars, they say we cannot fully surrender to Krishna, it's asking too much, so you're saying it's like a fear. Actually, this is discussed in the Gita also. That verse is there. Vitaraga bhaya krodham. That only those who are free from anger, attachment, and fear, they can surrender to me. So Prabhupada discusses in the purport how those who are afraid that I surrendered before to, I've tried to take shelter before of my wife, my children, my country, my home, of some religionists, but I've been cheated. Therefore they're afraid to take shelter. Therefore they become Mayavadis. Fear is one aspect. Another aspect is stubborn pride. Just like the donkey. The donkey, you beat it. Sometimes the donkey gets in a mood. You beat it severely, it won't move. They just want, even though it's being beaten, it likes to show, I've got my own rights, donkey's rights. We won't move if we don't want to. So that stubbornness is there also. So I think that's also a factor. Stubbornness, fear, false pride, all these different things. But and Lord Ram says, if anyone even once surrenders to me, then I accept him and I protect him. Because just even once, just to come to that point, it's not such an easy thing. If one actually thinks that now my wife, my children, my home, my country, my body, my bank balance, now I'm only taking shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Ram. Even for someone to come to that point, even once, that's not such an easy thing. It may take millions of lifetimes. Bahunam janmanamanti, jnanavang mang prapaditi, vasudeva sarvamiti, samahatma sudurlabha. Even for one to come to that level, it's not such an easy thing. So those of us who have come to such a point, if we've actually cultivated this point, let's keep on cultivating this point. Lord Ram says even once, but the real thing is to continue with this mood of surrender. That Prabhupada discusses in the purport to Bhagavad Gita chapter 18, text 66, Sarvadhaman Parityaja, Mamekam Sharanam Raja, where Krishna says, surrender to me only. So Prabhupada discusses the surrendering process. In other words, we may say once, but then again our mind may change. So therefore it's an ongoing process of continually surrendering to Krishna. It's not that, okay, now I surrendered, I shaved my head, I got initiation, it's all over. Now Krishna's going to look after me, so I'll go out and grow my hair and smoke and drink beer and Krishna's going to look after me. No, it's an ongoing surrendering process. And what is that ongoing surrendering process? That is to do only what is favorable for Krishna's service. That means, and to reject anything which is unfavorable. That means to, at every moment, think in our speech, our thoughts, our activities, whatever we're doing, is it favorable for Krishna's service or not? Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya vajanam rakshishyati vishva. So to have this firm faith that only Krishna is my protector. I don't need to go to a demigod or anybody else. Krishna is protecting me. Goptridve varanam tata. And very similar to that Krishna is maintaining Then Atma Nikshepa, to fully engage in Krishna's service, body, mind and words. Karpanya, with humility, not puffed up, now I'm a great devotee. So this is the process of surrender, to cultivate these 6 items of surrender. This surrender to Krishna, this I feel the current, all through every line, every word of Prabhupada's books, this urgency is there. It's not just a scholarly treatise. Prabhupada is pushing, surrender to Krishna, you rascal, surrender, surrender, surrender. He's pushing all through his books. That's why when reading Prabhupada's books, we not only feel satisfied with the philosophy intellectually, but we get inspiration to go on serving Krishna, to serve Krishna more and more and more, isn't it? By reading Prabhupada's books. It's not simply learning some philosophy academically, not at all. Any other question?
The demigods have been inquiring about sacrifice. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, sacrifices I am japa. So, how is it that
No, generally sacrifice that is understood, especially in previous ages, as fire sacrifice. There are other sacrifices mentioned in Gita, so many different sacrifices, sacrifice of work, sacrifice of knowledge. But people, that's described, I believe, in the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, that people are attached to this kind of bombastic display, ritualistic performance. So people, they like this kind of thing, therefore they're attached to this kind of sacrifice. But actually the real sacrifice is to surrender to Krishna. Chanting of Krishna's names, which is very easy, that is even, especially in this age, a better sacrifice than making a big bombastic display. But people, they like to make big sacrifices, and there's so many rules and regulations. I mean, we do a fire sacrifice. But actually, so many rules and regulations. It has to be in such a place, there has to be a certain time, at certain time, that means certain day, and a certain tithi according to the calendar. And within that day, there has to be at a certain time, and the priest has to be so qualified this way. And you have to put all the so many different items, kaloshes and powders and fruits and so many things. You have to put in exactly the correct order, facing the right direction at such and such a distance. Everything has to be done exactly in meter. But people are attached to such kinds of sacrifices, which are also pleasing to Lord Vishnu, because these sacrifices meant for pleasing Lord Vishnu. But if we simply chant Hare Krishna with faith and love, Krishna is very pleased by that, even without big display. Therefore, Yagyanam Japa Yagyosmi, the best of all sacrifices is chanting the names of Krishna. Everything is complete in that. That is real sacrifice. I mean, sacrifice. Oh Lord, please engage me in your service. That is the real sacrifice, to offer ourselves in the service of Krishna. Whereas in the fire sacrifice, you offer some ghee, some grains. This we're offering. But the real sacrifice is to offer our very lives to Krishna.
Just on that point, I was chanting japa last week, and I had a sort of analogy came to my mind of chanting and offering ghee into the fire. Because we offer these ghee, grains, and there's wood also. So that I had imagined that I was offering my mind, my intelligence, my false ego into the fire of the holy name. So, because it's always in the way, the mind is always in the way, the intelligence is always trying to get some bright ideas, the false ego is there.
Yeah, to surrender to the holy name, that's also, it's not such, to make the sound of the names is one thing, but to surrender to chanting, to really surrender our attention into the chanting.
Is it kind of a mechanistic approach to just try to throw these things in?
Well, of course, Prabhupada, he said we should chant with attention. He also said that we should chant just like a child calls out for the mother. So it's not simply a mechanical process. We should chant and hear. But at the same time, we're cultivating a feeling for Krishna. That when, just like, even in the material world, if someone has a girlfriend who is very attached to him, he hears the name, then, his heart starts to melt. So, same way, if we're cultivating our feelings for Krishna, then, the whole process of Krishna consciousness is meant to cultivate our feelings for Krishna. It's not simply mechanical. We say, follow this, do this, but the whole point is smartavya satatam Vishnu, to always think of Vishnu, and how favorably anukulyana Krishna Nishilana. So yes, try to chant attentively by any means, but also with feeling. Prabhupada recommended chanting very loudly. He said he was asked when the mind is going away, what should you do? Prabhupada said, chant very loudly. Although he himself, of course, he generally chanted japa quite quietly. Either way, somehow or other chant, hear. Any other question? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.